Hey, you guys. Welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. When you're on, let me know, and we will get started for today. Happy June. Hopefully, everybody is enjoying their summer. I know it's hot here in Texas, but you know what? We're used to it. We might not like it, but we are used to it and we know how to conduct ourselves. So, you guys jump in for me today. We're going to talk about a subject that's been near and dear to my heart because it's one of those things I've struggled with, which is being prepared, not letting things catch me off guard all the time. So that's something that I'm personally working on for myself. And I just wanted to share, just some thoughts, some tidbits, just some ideas with you guys and see if I can maybe provoke you guys and get your juices going and get y'all working in the same direction to where we're not so quick to allow things to shake us and rattle us, that we can be prepared. Hello, everybody. Hi, Denise. How are you, sweetheart? Good to see you. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for joining in. We've just got about another minute and I'll let everybody else join and then we will get started. Thank y'all so much for your prayers on last week. I feel 100% better. I feel like myself again. And so I'm very thankful. And I know God is a healer. And I know that y'all's prayers, He heard your prayers. And He also, required me to get out and do some things for myself to just really push myself to get better. I didn't want to just lay down and lay around and this, that, and the other. I wanted to get out and I wanted to get some fresh air, some sunshine. I literally worked myself until I was sweaty and was able to clear my head and clear my chest. So I thank God for that, and I thank God for all the things He puts in nature for us to be able to heal ourselves to where we don't have to take all that medication. So I'm very thankful for you guys. Y'all stepped in, y'all just stepped up, and y'all prayed for your girl, and I am back, and I am feeling so much better. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Our topic today is a prepared place. We always prepare for certain events, things like weddings and anniversaries and things like that, those happy events. But do we ever prepare ourselves for things that may go wrong? And a lot of times that's where we find ourselves getting into trouble, is because we don't anticipate that maybe this may not work out or maybe this might happen. And you don't want to dwell on that. You don't want to live in that, but you do have to use common sense and understand that you do have to be prepared just in case. Things don't go exactly the way you want it, or in case down the line something else comes up. You have to be practical and just use your common sense about that. One thing I've learned is that success in life always begins and ends with a plan. You're not going to be successful if you don't sit down and take the time and strategize as to how you're going to do things. What steps are you going to take? Which direction are you going to go? Who are you going to network with? Who is going to be in your corner? Who are you going to go to for advice? You got to know those things. You got to have a plan if you truly want to be successful. Because one thing about it, if you don't plan, then you're never prepared when something comes up. And that's what happens to a lot of us, including myself. And that's why I said in the beginning, this was dear to my heart, because there's been so many times in life when I was just caught off guard. It just rocked my whole world because I was not prepared that things could have went to the left instead of to the right. And now I live my life in such a way to where, yes, I want everything to go to the right, but just in case it goes to the left, I always have a plan B. And I found that when you have a plan B, what are you going to do if this doesn't work out? Not that you're speaking negative against it. You're not. But anything in life, anything dealing with man is not 100% guaranteed. We all know that. People will say they're in your corner. People will say, hey, I'm going to do this and help you succeed. And then they may fall off, and they may not do what they say they're going to do. And that's why you always have to have a plan B. You have to be prepared for where you're going, not for where you are. And we often fail because we're not prepared to win. People that prepare to win, they study. People that prepare to win, they do their research. People that prepare to win, they don't waste time on frivolous things. They're focused. They're working towards their goal. They don't have time to gossip. They don't have time to worry about who's doing what on social media. They have their eye on the prize because they know what they're trying to do and they know in what amount of time they're trying to do it. And that's what we have to do. If we want to be successful, we have to drown out all of these extra things that don't mean anything. You know, those people on social media aren't doing anything for you. Those people out there gossiping aren't going to help you move forward at all. So you have to prioritize your time, who you talk to, who you listen to, who you allow in your personal space if you want to be successful. Because there are things out there, great things out there, but it's for people that are prepared to receive it. Because there's nothing like receiving something and not being ready, and you end up losing it, and then you're sitting there trying to figure out what happened. You weren't prepared for it. So that's what we don't want to happen. So let's talk about typical things we prepare for, or we should prepare for. Life and death. We should prepare for bringing somebody in this world, and we should also prepare ourselves for when we or our loved ones are going to leave this world. And when I say that, when it comes to preparing when someone is coming into the world, make sure you're ready. Make sure you're stable before you try to start a family. Make sure that you're mature enough to be able to give your time to somebody else and put yourself second, because when you bring somebody else in the world, you're no longer number one. You have to put yourself behind, you have to sacrifice because you brought someone else in this world. So make sure you're prepared for that. And then as far as all of us know we're going to die at some point, we need to get our house in order, get that life insurance, even if it's just a $10,000 policy. Get those things in order so that people don't have to struggle after you're gone. Get those wills in order. If you've got property and you've got things that you want certain people to have, write that stuff down. Write that stuff down and get it notarized. That way there's no fighting, you know, at the end of it all. Because that's the worst thing in the world, is to see families fighting over stuff. And it happens. I've been in those situations, and it is heartbreaking. So let's get those things in order. Another thing we all need to prepare for is retirement. You know, we talk about, oh, we're going to retire, but have you done the work to make sure that you're good, that you're financially good when you retire? Have you done the work to make sure that what you saved is going to last for a long time? Or have you thought about getting a part-time job when you retire? Retire from this job and doing something else. It may be a career change. But the question is, have you sat down and prepared for that? Those are the things that we need to prepare for. And then what if you decide you want to go back to school? Have you prepared for that? Have you decided who's going to take care of what around the house so that you can go to school, so that you'll have time to study, so that you don't have to stress yourself out because you're trying to be 20 different people at one time? Think about it. We got to be prepared for these decisions that we're making. That way we'll have a better chance of being successful, you guys. And then buying a home. Are you prepared for that? Buying a home is not like renting an apartment. It's so much that comes with a home. With an apartment, you're basically paying the rent. Somebody's taking care of the yard. Somebody's taking care of things when it breaks. You know, AC tear up. You got a maintenance man that's going to fix it. It's not going to cost you any more money. That's not the reality when you want your own home. When you buy your own home, there are extra expenses that come with that. There's a yard, there's maintenance, all of that stuff. So do your homework. Do your homework and learn how to budget, because you'll need to learn how to budget your money when you buy a home, because things are going to come up. Mortgage rates are going to change, those things of that nature. So you need to prepare yourself before you step out and do something like that, because I've seen a lot of people step out there and get the house and couldn't keep it a year. And that's sad, because that's money wasted. So guys, let's be prepared for the things that we want. Let's not just want all the time and just be quick to move on something without getting all the information. That way we'll have success in holding on to whatever we're trying to do. Another thing we should be preparing for, if you decide you're going to relocate, do your research on that place. Don't just jump up and move somewhere that you know nothing about, because a lot of times you'll end up miserable there, and then you'll end up coming back, and then you'll end up feeling bad about yourself. But do your homework. Understand why you're going where you're going. What are you looking for when you go there, when you're relocating? And make sure wherever you're moving to, it's worth it, because it's a lot to move yourself to another place. So make sure that it's worth it and that you're doing it for the right reason. Another thing we should all prepare for is taking a vacation. You guys, I need y'all to relax and take a vacation. It's been so much craziness going on. Everybody could use a little bit of downtime, just relaxation time. Take some time for yourself. Get some me time in there. Start skipping lunch and start taking your lunch, and stop spending all that money at these restaurants. Put that money back and make that your vacation fund. You don't have to go all around the world, but it would be nice if you can get away and relax and not have to worry about anything. You don't have to be rich to vacation. All you have to do is be prepared. It's all about preparation. It's all about planning. Anybody can take a vacation, but you've got to be willing to sacrifice some things and put some money back and do your research. So prepare for your vacation. Getting married. That's another thing that a lot of times we don't prepare ourselves properly for. And sometimes that's why marriages don't work, because if you don't sit down with someone that tells you the complete story of what marriage is, you'll go into marriage with a delusion of what you see on TV, thinking this is what marriage is. That is not what marriage is. Marriage is complicated. Marriage is good. Marriage has some hard times. Marriage has some very trying times. But if you're not able to see the full picture, you'll go in with blinders on, and then you won't be prepared for all the things you have to handle. So get yourself prepared. Sit down with a marriage counselor. Sit down with a pastor that's been married for a while and in a good marriage. I'm not going to say just any pastor. Somebody that's in a good marriage that's actually living what they're saying, because everybody's not doing that. So get yourself prepared for what you want. Don't just run into it blind, because 9 times out of 10, when you run into it blind, you get your heart broken, you get disappointed, you're sad, you're depressed, and you start thinking that there's something wrong with you. A lot of times the only issue is that you weren't prepared for what you asked for. So let's get prepared, you guys. And none of us that I know of were prepared for these gas prices that are going on right now. It is absolutely ridiculous, the price of gas right now. So now we've got to come up with a strategy, you guys. We got to strategize as to how we're going to make it. We got to strategize as to how we're going to make our money stretch, how we're going to go from A to B. You may have to start making sure you're making all your stops on the way home, so that you're not wasting gas and going back and forth and doing things that's going to cost you more money, because you still got to maintain your car, even though these gas prices are through the roof. None of that's changing, and it's costing more to maintain your car. All oil changes are costing more. Any kind of service to your car has almost doubled in price. So guys, we've got to come up with a plan. And it starts with us sitting down and asking God to help us, because we can manage, we can make it through this. Hey, Deborah, we can make it through this, but you do have to plan and you do have to prepare yourself. It's not something that you can continue wasting money and think that you're going to have enough to do what you need to do. We have to pay attention as to what's going on, and we have to make the necessary adjustments. One thing I've learned as I'm getting older is nothing stays the same. So you have to be able to flex when you need to flex. There's no sense in complaining about it, whining about it. We all got to deal with it. Let's do it out of a grateful heart. Because one thing about it, we're in better positions than a whole lot of other places around the world. As far as gas prices, food prices, we've just got to flex and we've got to adjust. And we may just need to change some of them habits we've got. Maybe you can't go and get fast food every day. That's better for your body anyway. This may be God's way of getting us on these diets and eating better, eating more vegetables and less of this other stuff. Hey, Cynthia. Less of this other stuff that's not good for us. So it's all about your perspective, because when the gas started going up, I heard myself complaining. I said, you know what? Stop. I said, because God is showing you gas, it ain't even about the gas prices. It's about your priorities. Because one thing about it, you'll pay for what you want to pay for. You'll make it happen when you want to make it happen. And so now I've just got to be more creative about doing things. And I'm not ripping and running like I used to. Hey, chick. Ripping and running like I used to, because a lot of that stuff was wearing me out anyway. So now I can kind of settle down. I can sit down. I make sure I run my errands before I come home. And when I'm home, I'm home. And I'm finding that I'm even having more peace because I don't have to go here, there, and the other. So we're just needing to prioritize our time and focus on what we're spending our money on and just be smarter about it. Hey, Robin, and just be smarter about it. Anything that we have to go through, there's always a reason. So there's a reason for all of these prices going up. We just need to readjust. Maybe we need to scoot back from the table a little bit, change what we're eating. Stop eating all that fast food. Stop going out to all those restaurants. And we can put some of that money back so that we will have what we need to be able to put in our cars to go and do what we need to do. So there's a reason for everything. You just have to change your perspective about what you think about it. And another thing we need to be prepared for is for things to break down. It makes no sense to go out and get payday loans, title loans, all this stuff that's meant to shackle you. That's meant to shackle you, enslave you in debt. Running up those credit cards, that's meant to enslave you. That is a trick of the enemy to enslave you. That's why you've got to do better. You've got to decide that that's not going to be my life. I'm not going to get in this hamster wheel of running, trying to pay Peter because I've stolen from Paul. We've got to stop doing that. And we've got to stop allowing people to pull us into that trap of those payday loans and those title loans and all of those loans. Because you know what? You never pay them off. Most of the time you never, because something else is going to come up while you're trying to pay that off. And seem like as soon as you pay that off, been there. That's why I can talk about it. As soon as you pay that off, something else come up, and then next thing you know, they sending you one of them things in the mail talking about, oh, you qualify for $5,000. And all you can think about is, oh man, well, I got to get this fixed. Well, I can just do it and I'll pay it off and I won't do it anymore. It becomes addictive sometimes, you guys, because people do that to get themselves out of binds. But if we're prepared, if we put some money to the side, it won't hit us so hard. So y'all, let's work on being more prepared. That way we don't have to worry about being caught up in those traps. Hey, Kathy, caught up in those traps. Because I hate to see people, their whole check going out to people because they borrowed their whole check. That's no way to live. So I don't want to see us in bondage like that. But it requires us to make some sacrifices, get prepared, and say that's not going to be my life. Because you have control over that. We all know the stuff we spend money on and waste money doing. And you've got to decide, nope, I'm putting that money back just in case I need it, and I'm not going to touch it. And that requires maturity, and it requires discipline. And that's something that all of us need more of, but you got to really want it. And once you make up your mind that that's how you want to live with a little nest egg to the side, it'll become easy to you because you'll be comfortable with that. You'll find that it eases your anxiety to know, well, I've got this little bit of money over here. And if something comes up, it won't devastate me. I'll be able to at least get started on it and then be able to pay out the rest. Get your credit up, you guys. Get your credit up, because credit is power. I'm telling you, it is. Because there will be times when you will need your credit when you don't have any money, and your credit is power. So work on getting that credit right. Try to get that credit score up so that if you need your credit for something, it'll be available. How many times in your life have you looked back and wished, man, I wish I'd have been better prepared for that? I know there's a bunch of times I've felt that way, and I've thought about things, and it's just like all I had to do was this, and this, and that wouldn't have been so bad. But a lot of times we're so caught up in emotions and what's going on, we don't take the time to get prepared for things that may happen in life. And so let's talk about reasons why we aren't prepared for things. Sometimes, number one, sometimes it's just our priorities. Our priorities are in the wrong place. I remember when I was younger, I wanted to be in a relationship. It was always some guy that I was in love with, this, that, and the other. Wasting my time, starry-eyed over that. I was letting everything else get haywire because I had my focus on the wrong things. And I think back now, all the stuff I could have done, all the things I could have accomplished if I hadn't have been worried about this over here. And it may not have been a man for you, but it's just we all have certain things that we paid way too much attention to, or we gave too much time to, and we can think back and say, you know what? That was a waste of time. I wish I hadn't even given up all my years to that. We all have those things that we can look back and think about and say, man, if I could just have that time back that I wasted on that. That's those things you need to remember to help you keep from making those mistakes in the future. When you realize you done wasted some time, and I hate to say waste time because I know time is never wasted. It's something you learn from it. But still, you kind of look back and say, you know what? I could have been doing something else besides that. Something better than that. We all have those things in our past that we can look back and say, I wish I hadn't spent so much time on that. So sometimes our priorities are just in the wrong place. That's why we're not prepared. And then number two, like I said before, distractions. Distractions are anything that take your focus off of one thing and put it on something else. That's all a distraction is. People think distractions are this big, grand, whatever. Distractions are not big all the time. Sometimes they are that's right, Stephanie. Sometimes distractions are just very subtle, and it'll take your focus off of what you've been trying to do, and it'll veer you to the right. And sometimes you don't even realize you done lost your place. But that's how subtle distractions can be. And sometimes that's why we're not prepared, because we've allowed distractions to move us out of our place. Okay? And number three, emotions. Emotions are good for what they're good for. But when it comes to being focused and being prepared, emotions are not good for that. Emotions are those things that are in the moment. They're for the right now. Preparedness is for the future, but emotions are for right now. But a lot of times we'll let emotions take over, and then before you know it, you're stuck in the right now, and you can't even think about how to plan for the future because your emotions are all over the place. So that's what happens to a lot of us. We let our emotions get too big, and we let them take over. Instead of letting our head think for us, we let our emotions think for us. And then we're not prepared for what happens next. And then when something does happen, we either overreact or we underreact because we're talking about we don't care no more. I don't care. I don't even want it anymore. Yes, you do. You just letting them emotions talk. You just letting them emotions run everything. You want it. You always wanted it. But we can let our emotions get off in there, and our emotions can throw us off balance. And then things can come on us and we're just not prepared. And another reason we're not prepared is lack of knowledge. We don't get all the information sometimes. We'll just decide we want to do something, y'all, and we'll just take off and run straight into that thing. And we don't even know what we're running into most of the time. It looked good, but how many of y'all know everything that looked good is not good for you? And everything that looks good may not be for you. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she can do that. Maybe that was for her. But you running in behind her trying to do the same thing, that might not be for you. Might not be for you. So a lot of times we don't get the knowledge and the understanding of what we need to be doing or what that's really about. Hey, Pam, or what it all entails. And a lot of times we go rushing into something and then we have to run back out of it because we were not ready. We've all done that. Just running into stuff because it looked good. Oh, that sound good. Everybody's saying it's good. And we run in, didn't do our homework, didn't do nothing. Been there, done that, and had to run up out of there like my feet were on fire. But that was my fault because I did not do the necessary homework to know exactly what I was getting into. And then another reason why we're not prepared, you guys, is because we're not mature. Some of us still got those silly ways. Some of us are still pouting about things from the past. Some of us don't accept instruction. We think we know everything. Can't nobody tell you nothing. That's immaturity. Because anybody with any sense of maturity understands that you know absolutely nothing. That's one thing. I wake up, I say, God, I know absolutely nothing. Hey, Kinsley, I said, I'm asking you for wisdom, guidance, and understanding because I don't know nothing. I don't know half of what I'm supposed to know. But you know everything. So impart some wisdom to me. Don't let me sit around thinking I know everything. Help me to understand I really don't know anything. And I just got to trust you, God, to help me get through. So once you open your mind up and realize you don't have all the answers, then that's when God can bring people into your life that can help you mature and they can help you grow. But you have to be open to it. Nowadays, ain't nobody going to force you to do nothing. They'll be like, okay, you know what? I can't do her. And they're going to walk away. So we need to work on that immaturity, you guys, so that people are willing to pour into us, to help us grow, to help us be better. And another reason why we're not ready or we're not prepared is because lack of experience. Some things we just don't know any better. Some things we haven't been exposed to. It's a lot of things I hadn't been exposed to. Even as a young adult, I wasn't exposed to that I've been exposed to now. And now it's kind of opened me up to a different way of thinking about things. But when you haven't been exposed to anything, everything's new, everything's scary. You're afraid to take that leap of faith, So a lot of times that's what keeps us from getting prepared because we're scared because of lack. Hey, DeAndrea, because of lack of experience. So sometimes that's what keeps us from being prepared. And so let's talk about how we need to get prepared. Okay? Because we can talk about all day why we're not. But the thing about it is, what do we need to do to change that? Everything is always about what can we do to be better? What can we do to change? We understand we have shortcomings. We understand that it's a lot of things we don't know. We weren't raised a certain way, or we weren't exposed to a lot of things. We were raised poor, so we didn't get some of the privileges other people did. But that's okay. There's a reason for everything. I was raised poor. Didn't even know we were poor, but we were. But one thing about it is everybody gets that clean slate when you're brought into this world. It's up to you to decide how much you want to grab, how much experience you want to grab, how much knowledge you want to grab, how much, diversity you want to grab. You can't just stay around your own kind and think that you're going to understand everybody else. You got to get out there and mix and mingle. But that's only going to happen if you choose to get outside of your comfort zone. And I know that's not easy because I used to be afraid to get around other races and do other things with other people. But now I've eased into that a little bit. And I'm learning that it's so much more that we can learn from one another. But you have to be willing to look past the differences and understand everybody's got something to offer. There's nobody that's better than anybody else. We all have something to offer to the pot. And so once you change your mindset about that and allow yourself to be around different kinds of people, then it'll change your perspective. And it'll help you change your mind about getting prepared for things. So let's talk about how we get prepared. Number one, you got to choose to make it a priority. Anybody can say they're going to do something. Anybody can say, oh, well, I'm going to start a business. But if you never sit down and prepare for it, how likely is that going to happen? It's not. Everybody likes to talk a lot, but are you sitting down and you're making it a priority to say, okay, Don't nobody bother me. I'm going in this room for 2 hours. I got some strategizing to do. Don't nobody bother me. I got to work out a business plan. I got to write some stuff down. I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. But if you never make time to make it a priority, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to become a reality. So you do have to make it a priority to get prepared. Just like if you're preparing, say, for a wedding. You can't wait till the last minute to try to throw stuff together. No, you have to sit down, strategize, write down who's going to be the caterer, who's going to make the dresses, who's going to, make the cake. That's some strategizing. That's some preparedness that takes place. And you make that a priority because you want your day to be a big success. So that's with anything in life. If you want it to be a success, you've got to sit down, you've got to plan, you got to prioritize, you got to tell people, not today. I can't talk to you today. I got something I'm working on. And it's okay to shut people down because people that ain't got nothing going on always want to steal all your time. So don't allow people to snatch up all your time. If you working on something, let people know, do not disturb. I'll get with you when I'm done with this. So don't be afraid to prioritize your time and make other people respect that. Okay? Number 2, pray. Ask God for wisdom. Then you got to press your way, which means you got to keep going even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it. And then the other one is persevere, which means you got to be unstoppable. When you make up your mind you're trying to do something, just because things aren't going your way, you don't just stop. Keep the goal in mind and say, okay, it ain't working this way. What can I do to still make this happen? Become unstoppable. You can do it. But you got to make up your mind that you're unstoppable and you're not going to let anything keep you from getting to where you're trying to go. You will come up with a way to do things when you've decided that you're not going to let anything stop you. You'd be amazed at the thoughts that'll wake you up in the middle of the night. When you make up your mind, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to let the devil stop me and anybody else. But you have to make up your mind to be unstoppable. Number 3, learn from others who've been where you're trying to go. Quit being so prideful. Stop being so silly and not wanting to go to somebody that's already doing what you're trying to do. We need to stop doing that. We need to stop being so silly and so messy when it comes to that. You can learn from another sister. You can learn from another brother. But you've got to get past yourself. You got to get past your own insecurities. You got to get past your ideas of who that other person is. Don't worry about the personal stuff. If they're doing what you want them to do and they're successful at it, you need to talk to them. You need to make some time and ask them if they could be available to you so that they can give you some tidbits to help you. You ain't got to like them, but they have something that you need. So you need to get past your feelings, get past your thoughts, get past what so-and-so said about her. Forget her, bump her. This girl is doing what I'm trying to do. I need to talk to her. I ain't trying to make friends. I'm trying to learn. And that's one thing. That's right. Leave jealousy behind, Denise. That's one thing that stops us in our tracks because we're so jealous of one another. When we see somebody just really doing it and they doing it big and they doing it flawless, then all we want to do is try to pick it apart. And that's not right because you don't know what that person had to go through to get to where they are. But if you sit down and talk with them, they might share some of that with you. You might get a whole different perspective just by sitting down and talking to someone. So leave your little personal feelings, what you heard about somebody, and stop being jealous of each other so that we can move forward. Number 4, you got to choose to win. Choosing to win means I choose to sacrifice. It means I choose pain. Because guess what? When you choose to win, everything's going to come up against you. Winning is not something that just comes easy. You have to fight for a win, especially a major win, something big. You have to fight for it. So you got to make up your mind. I'm willing to lose some friends over this. I'm willing to cry a little bit because of this. Somebody's going to hurt my feelings because of this, because I'm trying to win. I promise you they are. You're going to find out just how many people are jealous of you when you're trying to win. Nobody's jealous of you when you ain't trying to do nothing. It's only when you start persevering. It's only when you start taking them steps. It's only when you start stepping outside the box and doing stuff that other people didn't think that you were qualified to do. Baby, please. I don't let nobody qualify me for nothing. The only person can qualify me is God. And so far, I ain't met God in the flesh. So therefore, you have to be willing to lose some things in order to win. Because you can't take that old stuff with you when you're trying to do something new. So don't be afraid. If you choose to win, just understand there's some good that's going to come with that. And then there's going to be some bad. And you're going to have to learn how to guard your heart and understand it's not even about you. It's about where you're trying to go. That's what the fight is about. Number 5, enjoy the journey. Quit complaining all the time. You trying to do something and all you doing is complaining about it. It's so hard. Blah, blah, blah. Nobody told me. Da, 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 da. Stop all of that. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy learning and enjoy failing and picking yourself back up and saying, you know what? I shouldn't have tried that no way. I don't know what made me think I could do it that way. Let me think of a different way. Let me try something different. Enjoy the journey, because one thing about it, when you try and you fail, you are learning along the way. You are getting stronger along the way and you don't even realize it. It is so subtle, but you are learning to master something by falling and getting up, falling and getting. You are mastering it. You just don't realize it. The world tells you that you're a failure, but you're actually mastering what you're trying to do because you're learning what does not work. And therefore, you won't step back and do that again. You're learning new things, uncharted waters, as they say. You're doing things a different way that you've never done it before. And that's a blessing. So enjoy the journey and just understand it's going to be some good days and it's going to be some bad days. And then number 6, choose wisely who you take advice from. That's one that I've really had to work on for myself, because you know what? Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got an opinion, but everybody doesn't love you. That's one thing I had to learn. Everybody's got an opinion, but everybody does not truly love you. So be careful who you take advice from, because some people are just booger-woofs in disguise and will hang around with you and will pal around with you and smile with you and don't mean you any good. So y'all, pray about that and ask God to show you who's really on your side, who's really in your corner, who really wants you to succeed. He'll show you, and you won't like it, but it's going to be right anyhow. So pray about that and just be mindful. Just watch little things that they do and little things that they say, and choose wisely whose words that you take to heart. Because if their life is not a picture of what they're telling you, then I wouldn't trust it. Because if they're not living it, how can they give you advice to do this and that? So make sure they live in what they're preaching out to you. And then number 7 is one that we all have heard before. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's better to be prepared than have to wait for something to sneak up on you. It's better to have your mindset prepared to say, you know what? Let me come up with more than one plan for this. And it's not saying that plan A won't work, but it's good to have a plan B and a plan C just in case. And you have to think ahead like that to understand that everything doesn't always work out the way it's planned. But if it doesn't work, what you gonna do now? And instead of wasting time crying and being upset about it, have you a plan B and you a plan C of what you're gonna do if it does not work out. That way you're not devastated by it. That way you can dust yourself off and you can try again. In the words of Jesus, he talked about going to prepare a place for us. He talked about his Father has many mansions and many rooms. And he said if it wasn't so, I wouldn't have said it. And that's in John 14:2. And he says, I go away to prepare a place for you. So even Jesus understood that before you bring someone in or before you do something, you need to prepare for it. So understand that this is not something new. This is something that's been around since the beginning of time. that we just need to learn to prepare ourselves. And when situations come up, that stress me out, I have to remind myself, Jesus, keep me near the cross. And I say that simply because whatever I'm not prepared for, I know God has already made a way. God has already stepped ahead of me. He already knows what's going to go on before I even open my eyes. So that's why I always say, Jesus, keep me near the cross, because I know He got it. And I know that He's got me. So that's just something I say to myself to comfort me and calm me down when something surprisingly hits at me, and I'm not prepared for it. I just say, God, just keep me near the cross, because I know in the cross, Jesus got it. He gonna make a way. He's gonna handle it. All I gotta do is trust Him and keep walking and keep the faith and keep believing. So ask yourself, what do I do to get prepared? What do you do to get prepared? Let's talk about just getting up a little bit early in the mornings. Maybe 30 minutes before your family gets up. Are you getting up? Are you praying before your family wakes up? Are you praying and preparing your home environment, for positive energy, for good things? If you're not, that's one of those things we need to do. Get up before everybody else gets up. Woman of God, get up. We have more control than we think, you guys, over some of them little negative, nasty attitudes them teenagers have. We need to get up and start praying and setting the atmosphere and asking for guidance before we open our mouths, because sometimes we're the ones that get them started. But it's because we haven't prayed and we let little things bother us, and before you know, everybody's in the house and everybody's yelling. Wake up a little bit early. Pray over your home. Pray over your family. Pray over your children. And ask God to calm the chaos and to keep peace in your home and help you to deal with the negativity. Are you going into work a little bit early? Maybe 10 or 15. That's right, Kathy. Set the atmosphere. Are you going into your job a little bit early? Practice doing that. Maybe 10 or 15 minutes early. Teachers, are you going into your classrooms early praying? Pastors, are you walking around your church praying before the people get there? Healthcare workers, are you walking around your environment, setting your atmosphere, asking God to help you to do the things that honor Him? Are you setting your atmosphere and letting the devil know he has no place there? A lot of times we just let things ambush us. And that's one thing I had to learn about myself. I started going into my job because things were just ambushing me. And when I started going just a little bit early and setting that atmosphere, I'm telling you, whatever comes, come what may, I can keep my cool. And I can respond in the right way without overreacting, without letting my emotions take control. But the only way that that's happening is because I'm setting the atmosphere for myself. I'm not just letting things happen to me anymore. I set the atmosphere. I walk in there. I command the room. Hey, Juanita, I command the room. I ask God to protect me and cover me in the blood. Cover my actions today so that I'll do what I need to do the best for my patients, to do the best for my co-workers, so that people can get healed instead of constantly living in this society of sickness. I never know what I'm going to have to do in a day. There are times when, because I'll go in early and set the atmosphere, God will have a patient call me about something that's totally off from what my job is. And He'll give me a word to give to them, and we'll talk, and we may even pray about it. I couldn't be prepared for that if I didn't go in and set my atmosphere. I'd be too busy. I'd be like, well, I can't do it right now. I'll just have to call you back, blah, blah, blah. I'd be pushing them off. But when I set the atmosphere, it seems like God makes a way to give me that time to talk to whoever I need to talk to. It works out. I can't explain it, as busy as we are, but every time I go in and I set that atmosphere, whoever needs me, it seems like I have uninterrupted time to talk to them. to try to give them what they need. And I can't explain it because there are times when I barely got time to run to the bathroom. But he makes a way out of no way, and nobody bothers me while I'm doing it. But that's only because I go in early and I pray over my area and I ask God to help me to be what he needs me to be for the position that I'm in. And we need to start doing that, y'all. Let's take some control over what goes on. And then ask yourself, am I making time before I go to bed to thank God and ask for his protection for my household? You know, a lot of chaos goes on in our homes because we don't thank God in the mornings. We don't talk to God at night. We don't bring our families before him until a disaster happens. You pray when things are going good. Don't wait for it to go bad. Don't wait for it to go bad. Speak over your family in the mornings. Speak over them before you go to bed. Don't lay your head on that pillow without telling God thank you. Don't lay your head on that pillow without asking God for his protection. We've got to change some of the stuff that we're doing, you guys. And then another thing, ask yourself, are you allowing yourself a grace period to sit down, weigh out your options, get the facts before you make major decisions? Or are you just running and just doing stuff off of what you think? A lot of times that leads to disaster. Give yourself a grace period. Don't be so quick to tell people yes. Don't be so quick to sign your name on stuff without really giving it some thought and telling people, okay, well, I need some time to think about this. That's your prerogative to think about it. And that's what they don't want you to do. They always want you to hurry up and sign. Oh, I got the paperwork right here. Okay, I know you got it, but I'm going to need a couple of days. Speak up for yourself. Give yourself time to really think about what you're doing with these major decisions and make sure that that's really for you and that somebody's not pressuring you into things. A lot of us have been pressured into stuff that we're still trying to get out of. Real talk. Still trying to get out of. You guys, my final thought is we don't prepare for where we already are. We prepare for where we're going. So take some time, be still, figure out where you truly want to be, get out a pen, write it down, and start taking the necessary steps. Because remember, it always begins and ends with a plan. Success is reserved for prepared people. And that's us, you guys. We're going to start getting prepared so that we can be successful. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Thank you guys again for your prayers. I feel so much better, feeling like myself. I got a girls trip coming tomorrow and going to spend some time with my girlfriends and just have a great time. Thank you guys. Be safe out there. Use your common sense with this COVID and understand that it has not gone anywhere yet. So don't be fooled and think that it's gone. You guys continue to protect yourself and stay safe out there and enjoy your weekend. You're welcome, Miss Kathy. God bless y'all. I love y'all, and I'll see you next week on Talk About It Thursday. Stay blessed.